Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, and links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program, information about tactics, information about technology used, documentation, research, things that I've been through, witness accounts from other targets that have also experienced the program. Just info in general, y'all. I took my time and I put together a comprehensive set of links that lead to videos that share a lot of info, pertinent info for targets. Info that I wish I had known about prior to things getting as bad as they did for me. A lot of the stuff that I learned late in my targeting. And had I known some of the things that I know now, things would have never gone as far as they did, and it wouldn't have gotten as bad as they did for me. So that's what's going on, y'all, with those links. Please check them out. I didn't just put them there for the heck of it. I'm doing it because I can empathize and I want to help you if you're new to the program, or even if you're not new. Sometimes you can be in this thing for years and not really learn, info until like far into your targeting. For those of y'all that have been keeping up with my story, you'll have heard me say that I've been targeted, and I did say it just now a little while ago, since 2020. But I didn't learn I was a target until the end of 2022. And that was where I really started learning everything that I know now. It started in 2022, and over the course of the last 2 years, I've learned so much information about this thing. And so I've just taken the time to make videos sharing the things that I've learned, documenting the things I've experienced to help other targets, but then also to just, again, to keep a record for myself, for my protection. Anyways, y'all, it's been, I wouldn't say a while since I made a video. I made a video recently, 12 days ago. Okay, it has been a while because I have been trying not to make videos. I'm telling you, it's been 12 days since I made a video, y'all. I did attempt to make a video a couple days ago because of something that took place at the post office with gang stalking activity. But I attempted 3 times to make the video, and the third time something happened where I still didn't really like how the video came out, so I just decided to scrap it. I'm really trying to stay away from making these videos, y'all. I don't regret making them because, like I said, they've been the greatest countermeasure to the targeting and to the tactics that are used. And for me to advocate for myself in the gaslighting, if you don't document and provide evidence and things to support and validate what you're saying, they will gaslight the hell out of you in this program. That's the main thing they do with targets. They gaslight you. That's like the main thing. Make you feel crazy, reactive abuse, doing things to get reactions. And then when you react, painting you like a monster. Like, it's really a very twisted, ominous program. And if you don't keep documentation, well, then they can do just about anything to you. Anyway, so it's important to keep the documentation. But at the same time, like, I don't need to keep making these videos. I've made so many of them. And at this point, I've said this before, I feel like I have a video for every tactic that they use. Anytime they try to gaslight me about something, they've done so many things as far as the gaslighting goes, and painting false narratives and trying to smear my name and vilify me, etc. I've made a video for everything, knocking down stuff and advocating for myself. And at this point, I can just play a video anytime I feel like they're doing something, right? As far as like pushing a false narrative towards me, harassing me, or painting a false narrative, whatever it is. I just have my little YouTube here. I can play a video. So I haven't really felt the need to make videos recently. And then too, I told y'all what had happened, with work about a month ago. So I'm wary of the videos. I'm just trying to be careful with them. But there are moments where you absolutely feel like you need to make a video, because it's like, once you're in this program, until you get out, no matter what you do, they're constantly trying to get a reaction out of you and constantly doing things to get a reaction. It's like straight up reactive abuse. And as much as you can sit there and try to ignore and try to just be productive and try to focus on yourself, they're constantly doing stuff to get a reaction out of you. It's almost like this sick thing where they want you to react so they can punish you more. It's this weird thing with this program, and I notice all targets go through it. It's not specific to me. That's a universal thing with all targets. Like the main agenda of the program, not the agenda. The agenda would be the big picture behind it, which I've already told y'all there are several agendas from the research I've done. I'm not going into that. But the main, what is the word I'm looking for? I'm tired, y'all. I'm sorry. This new thing that I'm doing here now with the gym too. If you check out my last video, still struggling with transportation. Y'all have heard me say I'm still struggling to get transportation. You know, I'm about to file my taxes. Hopefully that works out and I can get a car. We'll see what happens. I'm praying for the best. I do have another vehicle. You know, I told y'all about this vehicle in prior videos, a put that our mechanic has had for a year and change now. We still can't get it back because something's going on in his personal life. So I'm actually about to probably take that car to a different mechanic. But it's like this thing where I'm having trouble getting transportation. You know, I'm not making much money at the moment. I explained to you all I'm only doing security at the moment. I am trying to get employment elsewhere. I also am planning to go back to school. But at the moment, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing security, not making much money. And then I have all these different things like roadblocks in the way. You know how it is when you're targeted. So it's been a struggle to get transportation, and public transportation has been difficult for me to use as well. And I explained in that video what was going on with that. You know, the main bus, the public bus, it's like recently things haven't been too bad. But I haven't really tried to catch that bus to the gym, you know, and that's really where I was having the difficulty. If you check out the last video, I talked about it, and I've talked about it in prior videos when things started getting shaky with the public transportation. So it's just hard, man. It's hard getting transportation, and I kind of just decided I'm very determined that I'm gonna get things done one way or the other. I said I'm gonna get to the gym one way or the other. And so I decided to wake up in the morning with this person in my close circle that teaches. I used to teach with her. I get up super early as if I had a job. I'm getting up like 5:30. I'm getting ready and I'm riding down with her because on her way to school, she passes the gym that I work out at. So I get up with her. I ride down with her, and I'm saying get up, right? But that's only the nights when I don't do security. Remember, I work the night shift. A lot of the times what happens is I work the night shift. I come straight home. I get off at 6 a.m. I get bathed and whatever else, put on my workout clothes, and I'm leaving with her, and I'm getting the ride down to the gym. So I'm going straight from doing the night shift to doing this vigorous workout in the gym. And so my body's just trying to get acclimated to it because it's only been about 3 times that I've done it now. And I'm getting better and better at working out without having rested. But it's taking a toll in a way where, you know, again, my body has to get acclimated and I'm tired. And so this is what's going on, y'all. Whoa. ADD. I just went off on a tangent to just basically tell you I'm really tired right now. And I have work tonight. But anyways, that's what's going on. Basically just so I can make sure I get to the gym and I can make sure I at least get a ride there. I'm getting up super early if I didn't work, and I'm riding down with this relative of mine to get to the gym, or, which is mainly what's happening, I'm getting off of my night shift, I'm coming home and getting dressed, and I'm going straight to the gym and working out. So that's what's going on. Anyways, a lot has been happening, y'all. Like it's really crazy, the new developments, right? I'm gonna talk about what's happening. Hold on, let me just move this towel from behind me, guys. Give me a second. As soon as I started making this video, y'all, they turned the hum on, right? This is gaslighting because they saw what just happened. Again, the reactive abuse, just like what happened this morning at work, which I'm going to talk about what happened this morning at work too, that pissed me off, and I had this horrible reaction. And instantly, like, they gaslit me about the reaction. But anyways, it's similar to this. Like, they have seen that I've actively been trying not to make videos, and then still constantly just the harassment taking place and things, you know, purposely trying to make me feel uncomfortable and doing these weird little tactics that they do. And so now I'm sitting here making a video when I've been trying to stay quiet into myself, and they're humming in my ear. Like, it's like this weird, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing. Because even if you try to stay out of trouble and you try to stay to yourself, typically you're not a troublemaker. Typically they're not targeting the true troublemakers. They're targeting, like, literally innocent civilians that just pissed off the wrong person. So if you're somebody already that doesn't get in trouble and you've never had a record of getting in trouble or being this person that's getting into drama with people, and then you get thrown into this horrible program where you have all these people harassing you nonstop because it's fun for them, and they can do it. They're sitting back comfortable in their life and not dealing with this shit 24/7. They don't mind just being one little drop in the bucket of the many drops that take place in the harassment in your day-to-day life. But anyways, it's kind of hard, you come from that, a normal life, to now constantly being harassed and dealing with all this horrible treatment. And you're having now these reactions and they'll gaslight you about it and paint it like you're a monster or like you've always been this problematic person. And so this is why I said it's so important to make the videos and document the life you live prior to your targeting, because they will gaslight the hell out of you and make you feel like, all these horrible things. They keep throwing stuff. It's so much stuff they're gaslighting me about. And it's all the targeting, and they'll paint these false narratives. For instance, right? It's basically like you get cut off at the knees. This is what I said in the video I was trying to create a couple days ago and I ended up not making it. You get cut off at the knees when you're targeted. This is just an analogy. Obviously, it's figurative, not literal. But you get cut off at the knees figuratively, right? And then you get gaslit about not being able to walk. That's the best analogy I can think of. Where all these heinous things are happening, you're impeded left and right. Your dating life is impeded, your social life is impeded, your financial life is impeded, every aspect of life is impeded, and then they'll turn around and gaslight you about what's going on. It's crazy. Anyways, and when I say gaslight you about what's going on, let me give you an example. Like, for instance, start throwing stuff at you about being lazy or not having a good job, or throwing stuff at you about not being able to get a man. These are simple little things that they do to pick at you when they know that they're the cause of it. It's just this crazy thing that they do. It's another tactic. But anyways, let me talk about what's going on. It's a lot to cover, y'all. I don't want this to be too long of a video. And actually, I have work tonight at 12. I'm supposed to really be trying to rest right now. I was laying there watching a show trying to rest. I was drinking some juice I had made. And my mouth did the thing that I've talked about, y'all. This PTSD, and I actually think it's neurological too, thing that started happening as soon as the neuromonitoring started. Prior to me leaving Ireland in 2022, my mouth wasn't doing that. I wasn't having the issue where my mouth was twitching. I wasn't having the issue where my hip was twitching. I wasn't having the sensation of worms moving around in my nerves. None of those things were happening. Soon as I left, and I pissed off all those people in the mainland, right? In the mainland, the government in the mainland got involved in my targeting, and my targeting went to a new level. And I came back to this island, and I was neuromonitored, where technology that I didn't consent to was inserted into my body, equivalent to rape. That was when all of these different neurological side effects started. That was when I noticed that the twitching in my mouth was happening. The hip twitching, it actually started right before I came back to Ireland, when I was staying in my car in Florida, and I had all of these different cars speeding by, harassing me, some of them coming in and throwing rocks on my roof, thousands and thousands of cars on the road revving by. Every little thing that I put on, they were revving by. You can understand the amount of trauma and PTSD that I'm dealing with, and I haven't had a chance to recover, because then I came straight back to the island to deal with more harassment. Of course, it wasn't as invasive as in Florida, but I had just dealt with that traumatic experience for a month and change, actually, about 2 months, because what I dealt with in Indiana was traumatic as well. Florida is just so freaking bad, what happened in Florida, that it totally surpasses what took place in Indiana. It's almost like I forget to mention Indiana sometimes, even though that was the start of my targeting going viral. And that was the start of the true nightmare, right? Florida was where, like, the worst, I've never experienced anything like what I experienced in Florida in my life. And so the level of trauma that I had from that situation, and that was actually where the neurological stuff started too, y'all. I talked about it in several videos, with the twitching of the hip and the twitching of this and that, and, them staring at me on camera, all this weird, creepy shit that they do. I got back to Ireland, and I was already having that twitching neurological sensation, and my mouth was doing it too, by the way. But they hadn't started creating the weird, creepy narratives that they started to throw at me yet. So my mouth twitching and my hip twitching and all that, it wasn't something that they were making noises about and trying to make me feel uncomfortable about. They were about the hip thing more than the mouth thing. Whenever my hip would twitch and when I was laying in the bed when I got back to Ireland in 2022, they would make the noises. But the mouth thing, they didn't care about that. that didn't really start until the other false narratives and accusations started being thrown my way. That was when they started making noises about my mouth twitching. It's this weird thing that they do, and it's created this horrible neurological tick within my mouth because of them sensitizing me to that thing happening, which I believe is a side effect of this technology anyways. But now it's worsened because I now have PTSD about it happening. Anyway, so it's a lot to cover, y'all, so I'm trying to do things in order, and I don't want the video to be too long. Let me start off where I am now. Remember I told y'all last year my targeting was really bad. It was to the point where, let me make sure I'm not covering the speaker. My targeting last year was so bad that at the beginning of last year, I actually suspect, and the only reason I'm saying suspect and not hardcore saying that this is what happened, even though I'm almost certain that this is what happened, is because in my targeting, I've said this already, bearing false witness has played a contentious role in my targeting. And so if I say something happened that I can't concretely prove, even though it's like obvious that that's what took place, then I can receive retribution for it. So I'm trying to be careful about saying the radiation poisoning thing, even though I'm 99.99999% sure that that's what took place. I can't concretely prove it. A lot of the technology that they use on you, even the nanobots that, inserted into your body and stuff, these are things that are hard to detect. And they're almost what I would describe as intangible forms of torture, especially because the nanobots are tangible, but it's like, again, something that's hard to detect. But like the energy weapons, for instance, like when they're using the microwave energy weapons on you, or the Havana syndrome, those things are intangible forms of torture where it's no touch contact torture, not to use that word because they've made touch stimuli for me. But those are no touch torture tactics and devices, and so it's intangible forms of torture. So you can't concretely prove that it's happening. That's a part of the gaslighting that takes place when you're targeted. They'll make you feel like you're having like this fictitious mental ailment or mental ailments or effects and they'll tell you different things, right, when it's your targeting. So I can't concretely prove that that's what happened last year. I had the symptoms of radiation poisoning. I had the dark smudges under my eyes. I lost a lot of weight. I was skinnier than I had ever been in my life. Even skinnier than I was when I was in my early 20s, right? I was even skinnier than I was in my early 20s when I was vegan. That's how bad whatever it was that was going on last year was. But I lost a lot of weight. I had the black smudges under my eyes. I was feeling the burning sensation that they talk about with radiation poisoning, that burning sensation that you feel. And that's what was going on. A lot of stuff, other stuff was taking place as well. Like them kind of telling me inadvertently or subliminally that that's what they were doing. With the shadow networking AI software, which also is included in the links in the description box in the comment section, y'all. Videos where I talk about the shadow networking and what it is, how they use it. And I also have videos on this channel. I don't think I put the links in the description and comment section. I think the links I put in the description box and comment section are just links to videos where I talk about what the AI shadow networking software is and how they use it. But if you scroll through my channel, you'll see I've put up like 7 different videos showing y'all examples of the AI shadow networking software and them using it on me. In my part 3 example video, I showed you them using it on another target. But basically with the AI shadow networking software, everything's hacked, all your technological devices, and they can literally send you videos with subliminal messaging in it to psychologically malign you and make you feel like you're going crazy. And if you don't know that this technology exists, you will think you're crazy. This is a high science program, y'all. It's all technology, all of it. It's all AI. Them hacking your technological devices and sending you videos with stimuli in it to sensitize you, them hacking your body and inserting little microscopic robots in you that can cross the blood-brain barrier and hook up to your nervous system and mess with you neurologically, read your mind, all these different crazy things, put stuff in your brain if they want. This is all high science technology, and again, it's all AI. Anyway, so with the AI shadow networking software, last year too, around when I was having all the symptoms and I lost the weight and the black smudges and whatever else under my eyes, they were telling me subliminally sending videos into my recommended on YouTube constantly about radiation. I wasn't looking that type of stuff up, so it wasn't an algorithm. I'm just randomly getting all these videos in my YouTube recommended about radiation poisoning and, microwave and burning and cooking. And, these are the heinous, ominous things that they were sending to me while I'm feeling sick and I'm feeling the physical effects of burning, right? And losing weight and having the black smudges under my eyes. You can imagine how scary and traumatizing that was for me after having just come back and experiencing what I had experienced in Indiana and Florida. So I just want you to understand the level of trauma that I feel for certain things that they've sensitized me to, and they've correlated certain things to. Because the burning thing started around the time when I started making my videos. It happened about 3 months after I started making my videos. So I made my first video December of 2022. I don't have that video up anymore. I deleted it. It's basically my full story video. The same thing like the full story video that you see that I have posted now in the orange dress. It's the same story, but I was wearing a different outfit in that video. It was a different date. I had posted that initial video December 2022, shortly after having gotten back on island from experiencing the things I had experienced in the States when I tried to relocate. Then I came back home, had experienced all those crazy things and decided to do research and looked up, I decided to look up people being stalked by groups of people because I realized obviously this was something that was not just contained to the island, and it was some sort of weird thing that they had that I obviously kind of put two and two together. It was some sort of something that they had that was being used on me. So when I looked up people being stalked by groups of people, that was when the term gang stalking came up. And once I found the word gang stalking, of course, then I was introduced to the targeted individual community, and I started learning all of the other things. And I was like, oh my God, I'm targeted. I was like, what? I'm a target? I'm like, because I sent a text in 2020? Good girl, never got in trouble. I had just graduated magna cum laude. I took my stupid ass. I decided to move home. I sent that text message because we had gotten in a fight in the household. If you listen to my full story, you'll hear all of this, y'all, and more. You'll hear all the details. I'm sure if you've already heard my story, you know the details. I gotten in a fight in the household. Stupidly, I decided to send a text because it felt like after that fight, I started hearing at night stuff in the hallway, similar to what I had experienced in the Airbnbs for half a year prior to moving back home. So that was PTSD and trauma as well, by the way. And that wasn't something I created, like I'm getting in trouble and I'm just getting in problems with people. And I've never been a problematic person. I've never had an issue with getting along with people. I've always been introverted, but I've never had an issue with getting along with people. What happened in the Airbnbs literally started from an OCD I've had my whole life. In the initial Airbnb, the bathroom door did not close. I don't want to tell the story again. I feel like a broken record, but it's just like, I don't understand how what I'm saying isn't understandable. This is why I said this thing is just some weird spiritual thing. It just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, so it was just like this thing where the bathroom door wouldn't close. Y'all know the story. I'm not going to tell it now again. And if you don't know it, you listen to my story before you listen to any of my newer videos. But y'all know what started the thing in the Airbnbs. It started from a simple, innocent OCD. And then it kind of just trickled into this thing that followed me home, you could say, because it didn't initially follow me home. But after I got in the fight with the people in my close circle, I started to feel like maybe they were spitefully doing what I had just called them crying about before moving home. What was happening to me in the Airbnbs, maybe they're doing that to me now out of spite because of the fight that took place. That's what I was kind of thinking, but I wasn't sure. So I didn't straight up accuse them. I asked them in the form of a text message if that's what was going on. Who told me to do? I did not know that a text message could change a person's life so drastically. I could not foretell what would happen. I'm telling you, I swear I would have never sent that text I wouldn't even come home. Had I known what was going to happen, I would have kept my ass in Florida and I would have made it do what it do up there. I had no idea that sending that text message would have created what was created. 4 years of pure hell and torture. I had no idea. So anyways, y'all, sent the text message, and then that was just basically the start of the decline, basically. So fast forward now to when I left 2022 and then I came back, towards the end, I left summer of 2022. Summer of 2022 was when I resigned from the jobs I was working at the time. I was teaching and I was a security guard. I resigned and I tried to relocate. I had saved up $4,000. Y'all know the story. I'm not going to sit here and tell it again. The things that happened to me happened. This thing following me, because it's a program and I didn't know that, happened. It followed me, right? Of course, it's much worse in the States, but it also got worse because of my reaction to realizing it followed me. That was really what led to it going viral and worsening. So anyways, the thing blew up, had the stupid reactions I had. The mainland got involved. The government in America, in the mainland, this is America. This is U.S. territory. I'm in the United States Virgin Islands, so this is America. But I'm saying the main government in the mainland, in the U.S., like where the states, the states, the mainland, they got involved in my targeting. And so, of course, it's now much more invasive, and it's at a much higher level now. It's a lot worse than prior to me leaving Island. And actually, had I known what I know now, I would have never tried to relocate to the States. It had, knowing that this is a program that derives from there. I would have actually tried to skip to a new continent, island, something, had I known what this thing really was, because it wouldn't have followed me like that. It probably would have attempted to follow me, but it wouldn't have been what it is now from me going to the mainland. I just know I didn't commit a crime. I didn't do anything. So I couldn't imagine that this thing would follow me. That's first of all. And then second of all, too, I didn't know it was a program. That's the other thing. So anyways, this craziness with these people, man. It's just nuts. Anyway, so, and the reason I'm saying these people is because I'm hearing a bunch of dogs barking and just craziness in the background, y'all. When I start talking about the thing deriving from America, or the government in America. I keep saying America like this isn't America, but in the mainland, when the government in the mainland got involved. And that was when the shadow networking started. That was when the neuromonitoring started. That was when the almost what seems like trying to frame me started. That was when all of those things started. That wasn't happening prior to me leaving Island. For 2 years I was here, and I was literally just dealing with annoying gang stalking tactics, like being watched on camera, rev campaigns, snickering, laughing, petty things that's irritating and still could make a person miserable, but not the level of what started taking place when I tried to relocate and I pissed off, some of the people in the mainland, and I came back and they got involved in my targeting. It took an ominous turn. It started turning into trying to frame me. It started turning into shadow networking software. It started turning into neuromonitoring, where my body was injected with foreign substances that I didn't consent to. It started to get really gnarly. So anyways, y'all, I'm saying stuff I've said in prior videos, but it's, again, you know how this goes. I always do this for a reason. It's like similar to like it's kind of like a refresher course for me. Before you cover new material, you do like to do like a little review over the old material before you move on to the new material. That's kind of how it feels for me. Like, I don't know, that's how I feel. Before I move on to new stuff, I kind of like to give a refresher of old stuff so you can remember certain things and why certain things are now a part of my targeting, and how it sometimes can recycle. Like certain things that they were doing from before, they amp up and start doing it again. Sometimes within your targeting. It's this weird thing. And so this is why I'm giving the refresher on some of the things that took place prior to things getting so bad. So anyways, last year, so I want you to understand the sensitization and the PTSD and the trauma. So you're dealing with somebody that already suffers with anxiety, not just social anxiety. It's to the point where I realized I have Asperger's, and I realized this not just in my targeting, because they did initially, when I started talking about the Asperger's thing last year, they did try to gaslight me about it and make it seem like I was just trying to paint it like I had Asperger's because I'm targeted. And I had to dig into the freaking vault and prove that I had been talking about this since my early 20s. My mom even confirmed it, that I was calling her in my early 20s and telling her I think I have Asperger's way prior to my targeting. It's only now that I'm targeted that I started taking it more seriously, because I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's a me thing. Maybe I don't know how to deal with people. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Gaslighting myself, it's nothing like that, because there are people that are introverted. There are people that are awkward. There are people that are mean. There are people that are bitches. There are people that say horrible things that don't deal with what I'm dealing with. There's no excuse for what's happening to me. There's no validation for it. And I realize that now. But last year I was looking for all these different answers, and maybe it's me and this and that, and started doing research about myself and just coming to the conclusion that I do have Asperger's. Obviously I have ADD. I told you I was diagnosed in childhood. The Asperger's was never diagnosed. I self-diagnosed myself. But y'all can check out the 2 videos I made last year. Big, long, hour-and-a-half videos, 2 of them, where I provided evidence to prove that I have Asperger's, and I even took a live test on camera. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I just want you to understand, because I'm going off on a tangent. You're dealing with somebody that likely has Asperger's. obviously high functioning, right? Autistic spectrum, but high functioning. Somebody that has anxiety, not just social anxiety, because this is why I mentioned the Asperger's. It kind of ties in with social anxiety. But then somebody that has generalized anxiety. Like, I'm the kind of person that used to get anxiety attacks. Like, I'm the kind of person that they were trying to put on medication, but I told them no because I don't believe in medication. It was so bad, my anxiety in my early 20s. I keep talking about this, that my hands used to cramp in because I would start breathing and hyperventilating. Nothing going on. Nothing like what's happening to me now. No trouble, not in trouble, nothing. Good girl in school, nothing. Just freaking out for no reason. Like, I'll just be sitting there and it's just like I start having this panic attack and my breathing, I'm hyperventilating for no reason. And it was so bad that my hands used to cramp in. Like, I was losing so much air and I was hyperventilating so bad. It's actually miraculous that that's not happening to me now in this targeting. With all the stuff that they're doing and all the stuff that I done been through, excuse the poor grammar, that I've been through, it's miraculous that I'm not having the type of reactions that I was having in my early 20s, where it was so bad that I was just like my hands cramping in. I was hyperventilating so freaking bad. And my sister constantly had to keep taking me to the hospital. It was to the point where she even called my mom, I remember back then, and complained about it because we were dealing with a lot back then. You know, we did have stress going on as far as like rent goes, and we were young and in an apartment. I had apartments from young. I told y'all this, like from age 18, I had my own apartment with my sister. And then years later, had my own apartment by myself, etc., etc. But we were dealing with regular stuff, nothing like what I'm dealing with now. And my hands were cramping in and I was having, taking me to the hospital and constantly, they even thought I had some sort of neurological disorder. Come to find out it was just really bad anxiety. And they were trying to give me meds for it. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm into natural health and stuff. And so I just started to, focus on different tactics to deal with it naturally. And I learned how to deal with it naturally and how to calm myself when I feel like something's happening as far as anxiety goes. To the point where I even know that I can drink tea to calm my heart down. I have the understanding that if your heart's racing, then likely you're not having a heart attack, because what happens with a heart attack is that you're, God forbid, I rebuke it in the name of Yahshua, in the name of Jesus. But if your heart is palpitating and going super fast, it's not a heart attack. With a heart attack, your heart slows down because it's like a blockage happening. I learned all of these things just to keep myself calm. I'm like, okay, well, let's rationalize the irrational fear, because that's what anxiety is. It's like this irrational fear and your body going into fight or flight mode for no reason. So basically, like if you see a robber coming with a gun, that feeling of panic and angst that you feel in your body, that flight or fight mode, is what somebody with anxiety feels, but nothing's going on. There's no reason for it. It's just being triggered for no reason. That's what it is. And so I had to just come to like this realization, well, okay, what are you freaking out about? And kind of self-talk myself out of these anxiety attacks and realize that, okay, this is a mental thing. You can deal with this. So I started looking into health, and, this is where, there's several reasons why we got into natural health back in the day, into holistic health. It was me dealing with anxiety. It was my sister getting really sick. I talked about what was going on when we were living with my roommate. I'm not going to go into the details about that right now. A lot of things was happening that led to us getting into holistic health and stuff. And that was partially it, my anxiety. And so I started learning about the heart and stuff, and my heart racing and these feelings like I'm about to, Yah forbid, you know what? It's irrational fear, because it couldn't be a heart attack. A heart attack, your heart's not going to race. If anything, that's cardiac arrest, if anything. But your heart racing like that means that it's healthy, it's pumping. Like if your heart is not beating and it's going slow and it's slow heartbeat and it's like you're not getting a beat, that's where the fear should come in, because that could be a blockage or, God forbid, whatever. And so I looked into all of these things just to rationalize my irrational fear. And I even started looking into teas that I can make, so if, God forbid, something were happening with my heart and it were something more than just my mind, that creating this flight or fight mode for no reason, while I'm doing something to counteract anything physical that could possibly be going on. So I learned to drink tea. I learned to make turmeric tea and put cayenne pepper in it. And I learned about the capsaicin and cayenne pepper and the piperine and black pepper and the fact that opens up the blood vessels. And so if you are having some sort of blockage, it will open things up. The heat will also help to open up those blood vessels. I learned about all those stuff. The turmeric is good for inflammation. And so this is what started helping me. I'm like, okay, so if I drink tea, if something is, God forbid, really happening, and the fear is valid, This will help me. So if I drink this, I'll be okay regardless. And so I just started coming up with these little different things to deal with my anxiety, man, because I'm going off in a tangent. It's a bad habit. This is how what always happens. But I just want you to understand, like, I'm somebody that has dealt with anxiety my whole life. So it's not like you're dealing with a regular person that you threw into this program. You literally threw in an introverted person that doesn't like drama, that actually tries to stay away from people typically, not because I have a problem with people, but because I'm extremely shy and I'm a hermit, typically, not anymore. Oh boy, this program has turned me into a whole different person. I'm very outspoken. I'm not shy. There's not a shy bone in my body anymore. They have really morphed me into something different. Anyways, but me of old, I used to be a hermit. I used to be very shy and introverted. I dealt with anxiety, generalized, social, etc., the whole gamut. You're throwing someone like that in this program and you're staring at them. You have all these people staring at them. Even, I keep saying this, the most extroverted person would be feeling awkward and anxious underneath the scope of these cameras with all these people staring and creating these false narratives and vilifying them 24/7, harassing them. So it's just like, it's a sick, comprehensive psychological warfare program. They know what they're doing with this thing and they've been perfecting it for decades. It's been around since the 50s. This is not a new program. It's something that's been around for decades. And they're just using it and perfecting it and experimenting on innocent civilians. And they have the thing perfected. They know all the tactics to use to keep you wrapped up in the program and to keep you having these horrible reactions so that you can't get out. It's like this thing where they keep doing stuff and they keep the cameras on you. So every little thing you're vilified for, you're judged for every little thing that you're doing. You have people staring at you 24/7. You fart the wrong way, they're judging you. You know, the other day, just yesterday, I think they sent me some bullshit about picking my nose. When everyone picks their nose, if we're keeping it real, like if somebody tells you they don't pick their nose, they're lying to you. Everybody picks their freaking nose. With me, I might do it a little bit more than the next person. That's because I have sinuses. I've already explained to y'all, it's not even regular sinuses either. I don't want to go into that again. I don't want to talk about that again. Just very briefly, I've talked about this in several videos. I've even apologized to y'all if it sounds like I'm talking up in my nose or if I sound nasally. When I was younger, my brother has the condition too, but I think we have the same thing. The doctor told us something different. I believe we have the same thing. One of my younger brothers. We both have like this chronic stuffy nose that we've had since childhood. My mother thought it was like allergies or some sort of like sinusitis or something like that. So she took us to a nose and ear doctor here on island. And that doctor gave us two different, basically he diagnosed us with two different things. He told my brother that he had polyps that needed to be removed. And with me, he told me that I had super extra thick, now I'm understanding, I did more research recently. I was saying cartilage, I was saying stupidness, extra thick turbines. So that whatever it is that makes up the nasal passage, the turbines in the nose, it's like this deformity that I have where, this is what he told me at least. I never got another opinion. Like they're extra thick. And so it causes like this constant post nasal drip. And so my nose is constantly running. If you look at the snot, it's clear. So it's not like the type of snot that you see when you have a cold or some sort of infection where it's like this yellow, green, mucusy type. It's not even like, it is mucus, obviously, but it's very clear. It's this clear. It's equivalent to the type of snot that comes out when you're having an allergy attack. So to me, I would almost say it's relative to allergies because it's that clear kind of snot, except it's really thick. And I know this is a TMI and it's nasty. I've dealt with it my whole life. I've come to some sort of, I don't know, terms with it or whatever. It is what it is. It's part of who I am. But it's like this thick, clear snot that comes out. And so my nose is always stuffy. And I actually kind of believe that's why my nose is because they tease me about the shape of my nose too. Y'all, when you get thrown into this program, you better have some very hard, tough skin because they will tease the shit out of you. Their whole objective is to break you down. Psychologically, mentally, I know that's the same thing. Physically, emotionally. Their whole objective with this thing is to bust you down. And they will come for your self-esteem non-stop. And so one of the things they've even teased me about is the shape of my nose, right? With the shadow networking, just constantly sending me bullshit, trying to tease me and trying to get into my head. But I did kind of realize this years ago. I think this is partially why my nose is the way that it is. It's like, it's not like it's the way that it is, but I do have, we have pug noses in my family, but mine's is a little bit bigger than my siblings' own, and I do believe it's that same condition that the doctor was telling me about. I think that the extra whatever that's inside my nose is on the outside of my nose too. I think it just made my nose have this more bulbous look to it. And I think it's whatever the condition is, that's the extra whatever it is. But anyway, so this is why my nose is always stuffy and running. And so constantly, it always feels like stuff is in my nose. And so I'm used to having privacy. I'm used to being able to dig up in my nose. I know it sounds gross. I don't care. This is me. It is what it is. I don't do this if people are around. It's not like I sit around people picking up in my nose. That's disgusting. If you're going out in public and you're digging up in your nose and you have people around, that's nastiness. First of all, I'm always sanitizing my hands when I'm out. I know they see me doing it. I have OCD to the point where when I'm not home, I'm sanitizing every minute and stuff like that. But when I'm home in the privacy of my own home, I'm constantly up in my nose because it constantly feels like there's some sort of blockage in there. And so I'm either blowing my nose or I'm like playing up in my nose. And it's not like I'm literally picking my nose. Sometimes I am, keep it real with you. But it's more so just, it feels funny. I can't really explain the feeling. You can't understand if you, or empathize if you haven't experienced it. But it feels like there's constantly stuff up in my nose, and I just believe it's the excess, whatever. Anyway, that was just one doctor that told me that. I would like to get another opinion. I'm targeted now, so obviously it would feel weird going to doctors now. I've said this already. But I have always thought that I would like to get another opinion, because it almost seems like whatever it is my brother has, it seems exactly identical to what I have. Because that doctor, my mom gave me the option if I wanted surgery or not. She gave my brother and I the option. That doctor told my younger brother he had polyps and told me that I had this thing where I had the super thick turbines or whatever, and he needed to cut some of it away. So my mom gave me the option for the surgery. I said no, I didn't want it. I've always kind of been more natural. My brother did opt to get the surgery, the polyps removed. So the doctor removed the polyps. His nose to this day is still stuffy. He still has the same thing like me, the thick, clear snot that comes out. We both have the same thing. So part of me kind of feels like whatever it is that's going on, I don't think it's different. I think we both have the same thing going on, him and I. But I think mine's, I don't want to say worse, because his nose is just as stuffy as mine. We both have the same issue. But I think mine's is worse, as in, like, I do think there's, like, some sort of extra something going on with, like, even the thickness of my nose. I just think there's extra tissue going on. Like, there's a excess tissue or whatever it is. I don't know. But anyway, so that's just, why did I start talking about my nose? Oh my gosh, wow. What time is it? 10:18. I have work soon too, y'all. This is crazy. Why did I start talking? This is ADD, y'all. It's a mess, because I know there was a reason why I brought it up, and I know it's relative to what I'm talking about. But it's just this thing where you can go off on these little tangents, and they're often relative to what you're talking about. But you might get lost on the tangent and forget to get back to the main point. There's a reason why I started talking about my nose. I think I was just talking about how they come for your self-esteem constantly. And one of the things that they were just teasing me about recently was digging up in my nose, and them watching me dig up in my nose all day. I'm sending me something about how disgusting it was to watch me dig up in my nose. First of all, it's not all day. I don't dig up in my nose all day, but I do often play up in my nose when I'm home, because my nose feels uncomfortable and I'm home and I don't have to explain myself to you. I think it's disgusting that you're staring at a human in the privacy of their own home, and you shouldn't be. I think that's creepy and disgusting. Like, it's like the nerve and the gall. Like, it's just the audacity, the bold audacity of it all. Like, I just can't get over it. Why are you watching me in the privacy of my room? You have no right to do what you're doing, and then you have the nerve to tease me about what you're seeing that you shouldn't be seeing. I don't understand the craziness with this program. Anyway, that's not why I brought that up. I was just talking about the constantly coming for your self-esteem, though. And I still dig up in my nose, and I dug up in my nose today. I don't give a shit. They're not going to make me feel uncomfortable to live my life. You're not doing that to me. Anyways, I forgot what I was going to say, though. Forgot what I was going to say. There's something else. There's a reason why I started talking about, I think it was just talking about how they constantly come for your self-esteem, and that's one of the tactics. But it was something else. It was something else that I was talking about. What was it? Making you feel uncomfortable about that's what it was. Now I got back. I got back. Just talking about the cameras being on you, and they're staring at you, all of them on the edge of their seat, just looking for problems is what it feels like, and judging your every move, and every little thing you do is getting judged, and instantly they're all ready to attack you when something happens. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, y'all. It's like, I keep saying this. I've been saying this since last year. This thing is equivalent to like when you have a really bad dream and some gnarly shit pops off in the dream and you're just like petrified, mortified, and then you wake up and you realize it's a dream and you take like a sigh of relief and you just lay in your bed and you just reminisce and you just feel like relieved that that was a dream and not your reality. That's kind of what this feels like, except I'm not having that wake up moment. It's like this mortifying, petrifying thing that's taking place, that's been taking place for the last 4 years, humiliating, degrading thing. But I'm not having that moment where I'm waking up and realizing that it's a nightmare. Like it's just like, this is my life. This is really happening. This really did happen. Like that's the best way I could describe this thing. Anyway, let me get back to the point, y'all. So anyways, let me talk about what this video is about. How long have I been talking? Let me see something. Wow. Just for me to explain to you what a nightmare it is being on these cameras and how that's the main tactic they use in the targeting. The main thing they use is the cameras to constantly judge you and make you feel on edge and make you feel uncomfortable, but then also gaslighting. But let me get to the point, y'all. Oh my God. I had said all of that just to get to what's going on now. So there's been new developments in my targeting. New, but not new. It's like similar to what I said a little while ago, where sometimes they'll recycle things that they harassed you about or used to make you feel uncomfortable about prior to in your targeting. Like, for instance, remember I said last year my targeting was really bad. Because remember, last year was kind of like the fallout from what took place in 2022 when I tried to relocate and I shared all those offensive things in my car in Florida, and I had all these different egregious reactions, reactive abuse to what was taking place. Last year was the fallout from that. That was the fallout year. So last year was the retribution from those things. And so all of those things took place. The beginning of the year, what I suspect to be radiation poisoning took place, the losing of weight, them painting false narratives, kind of feeling like I was being framed constantly having these heinous things thrown at me, having these PTSD anxious reactions because I'm being stared at. And I had just come back from Florida where I was having the same PTSD reactions in my car in Florida and people speeding by and creating these false narratives. In Florida, the main thing they were throwing at me was the child thing. They weren't throwing anything about witchcraft because I hadn't spoken about it in my video and talked about the fact that I felt like someone had done that on me. They weren't throwing anything about me selling out or about poetry because I had only recorded, I think, 2 poems at that point years prior. So these weren't things that they could use to try to malign me or create false narratives with the shadow networking. The only thing they had was the child thing when I was in Florida. And so that was the only thing that they were sending me with the shadow networking software. That's what they were honed in on. None of this other stuff that they started sending me last year was being sent to me when I was in Florida, in my car in Florida. What they were mainly doing was when I was watching Bible videos, basically, and this is why I keep having this reaction to God, so you can understand. Because now what took place with me shaking and trembling, they try to gaslight me about this reaction. I wouldn't speak about God if I was having an issue about it. I wouldn't say God, Jesus, Yahshua, Yahweh's name if I had an issue with the Most High. What it is it's PTSD. And whenever they say God and Jesus, it reminds me of what happened to me in Florida. First of all, when I shared the offensive things about Catholics and Christians, and I was watching the Hebrew Israelite propaganda videos, and they were using the shadow networking software to send me Hebrew Israelite videos with stimuli in it pertaining to the child thing. So constantly I'm looking up scriptures, and why would I look up those videos if I didn't believe in the Most High, if I had an issue with the Most High, if I were some sort of demon, or whatever evil shit they're trying to paint. What it was I was feeling like something was on me spiritually. And for me, how I protected myself, and that was how I was raised, and that's my perception of life, was to turn to the Bible. So I'm like, okay, this is something spiritual. I didn't do anything. And I'm being chased down like a dog in these streets here in Florida. All these people chasing me down, and they're painting these false narratives. This is some sort of, I was certain it was some sort of something spiritual. And the way that I was raised too, the household I grew up in and the grandparents I had, etc., I grew up hearing stories like that. So I was just so certain, like, this is probably what this is. Somebody did something is what I was thinking. And so I sat in my car in Florida. I've said this a million times. My story never changes. And I started looking up Hebrew Israelite videos because that was my understanding at the time. That was my belief system, or my religion, if you will. I don't call it a religion, but that was my belief system at the time. So this is the type of videos I was looking up. I didn't look up Christian videos because I wasn't a Christian. It's similar. Being Hebrew is similar. We follow the Bible. We follow scripture. It's similar. There are little minute differences, but it's similar. We believe in the same Bible. We believe in the same God. But I was sitting in the car and I was looking up Hebrew Israelite videos specifically about spiritual protection and deliverance from spiritual attacks. Those are the type of videos I was looking up initially. And while I'm doing that, these people, it's like the spirit that was on them that was causing them to do what they were doing to me started to rile up, and they started revving by, and with the shadow networking software, I didn't even know that they had that technology. They were using it on me before I ever started sharing the offensive stuff, just so you understand, because of what had taken place in Indiana with the police officer and with the homeless man on the bus. They already had it in for me. I want you to understand that. They already had it in for me. I had already had the helicopters and stuff chasing me before I had gotten to Florida. So before I ever shared the offensive stuff in my car in Florida, they were already using the shadow networking software on me, and I didn't know it. And so constantly I was being sent stuff about predators and sexual offenders and lust and things in the darkness coming to light. I'm like, damn, this is why I thought it was witchcraft, because I didn't know about this technology, and I didn't know that they could do that they could send you subliminal messaging and kind of paint false narratives and let the people around you kind of see what's going on. The people around me, I'm certain, didn't even know about this technology either. So all they're seeing is whatever it is that they heard about this text message. They don't know the backdrop story about the Airbnb and all of that. They're seeing me having these anxious reactions on camera to what's being sent to me. And they're thinking, okay, well, she must have done something for real, because why everything she's putting on has lust and this type of stuff in it. Everything I'm putting on the radio, every time I'm putting on the radio, every station I'm putting it to, talking about sexual predators or a story about this person or that person that did this or that, right, to children. Creepy, nasty, weird shit. They even sent me something about, which pisses me off too, because it's just the hypocrisy of this rotten, stupid ass program. I remember on the radio too, one time they sent me this story about this nasty old man. I'm trying not to be judgmental, right? But this nasty old man that tried to buy a child, he went to prison for it, got out of prison, wasn't targeted. They didn't feel like they needed to follow him with helicopters and robo this and robo that and all this shit they're doing. He was out roaming around. He tried to buy a child again, and that was when they decided that they needed to watch him. Meanwhile, I'm being tracked down like a dog and I didn't do anything. So you can imagine stories like that just built the anger that was already building inside of me from dealing with this, and I hadn't done anything. So anyways, I'm hearing all of this weird, creepy stuff. It's coming on the radio. It's on my phone. Every video I'm putting on, every time I'm putting on a video, I'm going into my recommended on YouTube, not knowing about this damn technology. And every video I'm clicking on has something about sexual predators. I was like, oh my God, I said, this is witchcraft. This is what I thought. I didn't know it was them. I was like, this is witchcraft. And so I instantly said, you know what? Let me just start putting on Bible videos. I said, I need to pray this thing off, whatever this thing is. I started putting on Hebrew Israelite Bible videos, again, not offensive ones, about spiritual protection and just Bible verses. And I'm just talking about basically, what was the name of the video? I can't remember the specific name. There was a video I was looking for. There was a video I was listening to where he was doing a whole special on spiritual protection and having faith. I can't remember the name of the video. But I noticed every Hebrew Israelite video I was putting on, somehow some scripture would pop up about angels watching and things in the dark coming to light and lust and drunkenness. And I'm just like, oh my God. I said, wait, it's happening in the Bible videos too. I said, what is this? I said, and as it's happening, I want you to understand the people around are seeing this. They're seeing that constantly everything I put on has some sort of reference to sexual predators or angels watching or things in the darkness coming to light. They're not aware of I'm almost certain they weren't aware of the technology. The people obviously that were running the thing knew, probably the military personnel or whoever was running the thing. But the gang stalkers around that were just pinging in and getting tagged in. I'm sure they didn't know about the little details of this program, like the AI software, because I didn't even know. And I think they just thought that, okay, she did this. She did something and this is God. This is karma. That's why all these things about sexual predators is popping up. This is how they can frame an individual with their technology. And if you don't do your research and learn about this stuff, they could really, if it hadn't been for the Mosai and I hadn't learned about this technology, they could have framed the shit out of me. And this is what was kind of building up and this is what was happening in Florida. I almost lost my life in Florida. And I think watching those Bible videos did save me. So anyways, I'm putting on the videos. I'm seeing everything about lust and things in the darkness coming to light and drunkenness and this and that. And they're revving by like crazy. And I know I didn't do anything. They're revving by so many of them. I'm telling you, it was like, think about the traffic. Y'all are in the States, a lot of y'all that are watching my videos. You're not here on the island where I'm at. You know the 4-lane traffic, like those roads that have all those cars in it? Every single car on the road was getting involved in my targeting. That's how viral my thing had gone because of what happened with the homeless man and then what happened with the policeman in Indiana. Helicopters flying overhead, EMT, ambulances, police cars, fire trucks, and every car on the road getting involved in my targeting, not even knowing the full story. They're hearing whatever warped perception of the shit they're hearing, and they're just thinking they're dealing with a sexual predator that's a bitch or whatever it is they're thinking. Right? And they're just taking out their whatever freaking frustration or aggravation in their own personal life that they're having on this person that they feel like they can use as a target. So they're all rapping by and doing what they're doing. And I'm getting more and more angry. I'm like, I'm putting these videos on for me, right? For my spiritual protection. They're harassing me like I'm doing something wrong. And I'm simply just putting on biblical videos. And then somehow every biblical video that I'm putting on is having this stimuli in it. And I know I didn't do anything. And the more that those things are being mentioned, the more they're revving by and doing the crazy shit that they're doing, and the more angry I'm becoming. I started to get really angry, and the wrath that they typically try to invoke out of targets was coming out. And I started sharing the offensive stuff. Everybody could get it at that point. I started sharing some offensive stuff in my car, and they used that to propel my targeting further. That's how the thing works. So anyways, y'all, so this is where the sensitization to God and scripture came from. It came from my car in Florida, from sitting there listening to biblical videos, and every video that I'm listening to having stimuli in it to sensitize me, and then having all these cars revving by and doing all the crazy shit that they were doing. So now it's like I have this PTSD reaction. It doesn't always happen either. It's weird. I keep saying that. It's like, it's almost similar to like the child thing. You know, sometimes really now the child thing, I feel like I've proven my point to the point where I don't really have the reactions to the child thing anymore. But I do still have a reaction to that too sometimes. But similar to the child thing and other things I've shown you that I've had reactions to, that you know I'm telling the truth about, I have this like anxious, breathe funny PTSD trauma reaction. And they run with it every time. Anything that I have that PTSD trauma reaction to, they run with it and they create something out of it because they're staring at you 24/7 and judging you. So this is what happens. And it's a nightmare, and it's like this never-ending vortex with this program because there's always going to be something to have an awkward reaction to, and there's always going to be the judgment from those staring at you that want a problem with you. And then it's like you get angry and you have these angry reactions, and then you get judged more, and then you get thrown deeper into the program, and it's like this never-ending vortex if you don't figure out what's going on and learn to stop reacting wrathfully. But anyway, so that's where that came from, right? And then last year too, the false narratives they started throwing at me and stuff. So I do have PTSD reactions sometimes when certain things are mentioned, especially when it's scripture that's being referenced. It's not about me trembling because I'm a demon. It's PTSD and trauma from what I experienced in the past. So anyway, let me try to hurry up, y'all. People are coming home now. I'm making this video. I just want to hurry up. I'm just trying to talk about what's taking place now. With something they're trying to recycle. So a couple days ago, like maybe 3 days ago, 4 days ago, I forgot what happened was what started it was that's what it was. I was at work. That's what started it. I was at work at night one time. This was about a week ago, and I was talking to someone in my close circle. Hold on, y'all. Actually, I'm going to finish this video later. I'm going to stop here, y'all. I'm going to finish the video later. So I know where I'm at. I'm going to listen to what I've said so far, and I'm going to finish the video later.